All right, so I'm going to do apply for grant. Now notice it's got all of these values here again from that. So let's do that. So the grant request amount of, I'm not sure what we were doing it for. Let's do 200. Oh, come on, let me do that. Is it not going to let me enter the amount? That one let me enter. Why is this not letting me? This is why we may have to assign it to another thing. If it won't let me enter the amount.
Oh, if you hit the drop-down arrow, you can enter an amount next to it. At the beginning where it says grant request amount, there's an arrow.
Yeah.
No, the other arrow all the way to the.
Oh, this one. There's the value. Okay, so thank you. Let's do 200. Grant explanation should be a string. This one is for food, so let's just do hungry or something.
I have the drop-down thing like you do.
Over here?
Yeah, I don't either.
Should have. Grant request key, we don't.
And you are clicking on grant request amount, and that's specific.
Yeah, let me close this for a moment. I think there's one other thing we need to do with the review. So it wouldn't be grant request key here. I think it would be grant request. I think that'll work, except that should be GR. And no thing there. The thing is that it doesn't have a key yet, so this says find the key. That's basically what that says. Let's try it again. So what I changed review grant, instead of grant request key, I changed it to review grant request equals GR. Let's try this again, and we'll see if you guys have. All right, so this test environment is sometimes a pain. So grant request amount. Oh, you know why? In order to get it, you have to drop this down, get the system nullable, then you can do it. So we'll do, let's just do 150. Explanation, hungry, it could be whatever you want the explanation to be. Grant request key, I don't have to do. Grant reviews, we can leave that there. Grant type should be like a 1 for food, and I think I might have to do, no. Oh, grant type, that's fine. It's grant type key is 1. And again, I needed to do that. Person key, what person do we want to do this? So I'll do that, and then it'll let me enter a value, which will be, I guess we'll just do 1. All right, so I did 150 for that. The date is built in, because I think I at some point said that it was. The hungry is the explanation, but you probably, the grant request key we don't need to do because it'll be auto-generated. The grant reviews is just a class that it's related to, so there's nothing we need to put in there. Grant type is another class that's related, so we don't have to do that, but we do need the grant type key, and then we need the person key. I'm going to invoke this and see what I get.
No.
It says it returns false, so it threw an error.
Person. Just the person up there. The actual database. Scanning, the columns.
You expanded this to get all the columns?
Yeah, you drop that down and select the person next to the logs. There's another person key dies.
Oh, we're not. Oh, so the login shouldn't matter because we have the. Oh, so and then you change the person key here to 1?
Yeah, I mean, I provided. I just was wondering. I thought that's what you were talking about. I looked there and saw it.
It still says false. Now here's something. Let's do, instead of result equals false, let's also do oh, let's do that up above that. It'll actually never get to this if that's the case, but let's try it again. I want to see what the error is. Here, maybe, as I said, that we have to do that class, a local instance of it. All right, so the amount, let's do 150. The date is fine. The explanation, should be able to just type. Okay. No breakfast hungry. Grant reviews, you don't need. Grant type key. 1. Person. Now if I go down, well, so person, I could set it there, but I think person key shouldn't need to do it in both places. Let's see what the error is. So we got the X. I won't spend a lot of time. If we have to, I'll go do it the long way. So I'm going to view detail. Unable to set field property grant reviews on entity type grant request. So the error isn't on grant request, it's on grant reviews. All right, you know what we can do to let's see if it works just with grant. If it does, we're going to let it go. Because the point of this, debugging this can actually take a long time, and I'm not going to spend a long time at it. But. All right, we got the same things. So I'll do this as 150. I just want to see if it goes through with explanation. Grant type key. We'll just do 1. Person key. And we'll do 1. I'll invoke that. Okay. It returned true. let's see if that's actually is true. So I'm going to real quickly do a new query. Select star from grant request. And then we go to the very end, and there's Hungry Today, $150, person key 1. So it worked. That part worked. It was the review part that wasn't working. And I probably left out a field that was required. But let's just forget the review part for right now. All I did was I commented out where we add the review to the reviews. So I'm not sure what, I should look, it's hard to see here. I'd have to go to the management studio to see which fields are required. I bet I left out a required for grant review. In the review. So in the grant review, what do we got here? So it might be that, so the request key should have been passed. The status was allowed, but I'm not sure which ones are required and which are not. Yeah, because if there's anything not null, I would have had to have given it a value. It's possible that the date has to be in there or something. So we could just skip that part, which means you could actually skip, you could comment out those 2 lines, 3 lines as well. And that's okay. But it is kind of nice. All we have to do is pass in the class straight through and then just add the changes. And it works pretty well. So it's actually fairly simple except for the review. And I could debug it, but as I said, I think I want to move on to the client. Are you to the point where you can?
No, I'm nowhere near it. I'm at like 67%.
All right. If you need at some point, I'll sit down with you and I can walk through this.
I appreciate it.
Is there anyone else that's totally stuck like that? Why is it only?
I have an error here, even though it correctly ran.
What is the error? View detail. Store, update, insert, or delete. I'm just trying to see the intersection. Store, update, insert, or delete. Expected an unexpected number of rows.
Maybe I should turn it.
Well, yeah, it's actually good to leave it on the I don't know why that would give you an error.
Yeah, I know. That's what, about 5:15 every evening.
Stop it and try it again and you'll see. All right. Any questions? So let's leave this copy of Visual Studio open. I'm going to open a second one. And we'll do the client. Is yours just taking a long time or is it? That's going.
Just comments go out. You need to do the same things that you did.
Yeah. Are there questions on this before we move on? Who fell?
Someone outside was pushed by an invisible force. So, ghost, I don't know.
That's strange. I'm sure this place, if there were ghosts, this place probably has them. All right, are we ready for this, or do you have any more questions? Is the quietness that you all understand what we've done so far, or is it that
Sure.
it's all, yeah?
Just waiting for some kind of break. Yeah, it's not letting me do whatever you did on throw X. It just keeps.
All right, so let's see what the error is. Go to view detail. The underlying provider failed on open. Do okay. Stop it. Right click on, actually find the toolbar for the enter. Yeah, so you went into Mac. So actually do here, right click on the, down here, the Windows thing. And do computer management. I think your server's not running. Go to services and applications. SQL Server configuration. Do the services at the top. And then this second one, right click and start.
Mhm.
So I don't think it was your code. All right, are we ready then? So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to just minimize this. I'm not going to close it. Down here where we have the icon for Visual Studio, I'm going to right click it, and I am going to just click Visual Studio 2015. And what that will do is it will open a second instance of Visual Studio. And I'm going to start a new website. This is, we're moving from assignment 5 to assignment 6 at this point. This is actually the easier part. This is the client part. So we're going to do an empty website, and I will do it assignment 6, I guess, ITC172 assignment 6, or you could call it Community Assist Client, whatever you want to call it. What should I call it? I'll call Community Assist Client, and then I'll call the repository. So this is the client side.
Right click on what?
Right click on the icon.
Yeah.
So and then just do Visual Studio 2015.
I'm just hoping it wasn't going to close out the one that I currently have.
So empty website, everything else is the same. We're going to need several web pages, but I don't know if I'm going to add them right away. We could. That's easy enough, I guess. We're going to need a. So what we have, what do we have? We have login. So I'm going to add a new web form for default, and that'll be our login page. What else did we have? Register. We did register, right, for Community Assist. I'm trying to remember all the stuff we did. I'm going to go back to this one, and I'm just going to go to the interface because that's easier to read for this. So we got login, register, apply, and get grants. So let's do them one page at a time, I think, on the other one, just so I don't get confused. So we have the login. And this could be I guess I could do it just real quickly. I'll just do,
You did a web form, right?
yeah, web form. I'm just going to say login. I'm just going to do the usual table. You could even copy this if you want from a previous assignment. Table row, TD user name, TD text box. So I'm going to get a text box from the toolbox. And I'll call it text username or username text box. And then I'll do exactly the same thing again, right, for the password. And I'll just say password. And I will call it password text box. Get rid of the one. And if you want, you can do the text mode equals password. That'll give you the little hash or things. That's good. And then I do one more table row. Only this time in the first one, instead of text, I'll put a button. So let's do a button wherever they are. They're up in the B's, aren't they?
Can you scroll up? I'm playing catch up since my computer's just not.
Okay, so it's just, I'll go through it again here in a second too. And I'll put a label here. Okay, so I'll walk through it here in a second. So it's just if you think about it, it's just a way of displaying, and you don't have to do a table if you don't want to. All I've got is the username and a text box to enter the username. If you wanted to just do it without the table, you can do it. The table is just to make it look nice. Then I have the password and a text box to take it the password. I have a button, and then I have a label to show the results if it doesn't work.
Those are all text boxes.
So just text box, text box, and then button, which I need to change the word on the button. And then I have a label here. The difference between a label and a text box is that you can't enter into a label. The button I will just do, we could say submit or log in. Say log in.
Copying and pasting.
I was copying and pasting from TR to TR. Table row. I know copy and paste can be, again, if it's, and again, the table is just for looks.
Are we going to give the button a different ID?
We can, I guess. Login button. We might also, so we'll try to test this one first, and then we'll move on to the next page. Now we need to make a link to the service, and that will be the next thing I do when you guys are done with this. Have you got it? One way you can look at it, if you look at design, it's just sort of my little default login. This is something you could actually save. You can drag your own stuff onto here. You could save this as a default login if you wanted.
I just need to figure out if that's a button or text.
Which one? Login is a button. Okay. So I'm going to shrink that. I'm going to bring up the Solution Explorer again. Now, before I can make a connection, this has to be run. This has to be running. So I'm going to go back to the service. And I'm actually going to go to the service, and I'm going to run it. So this is 4. The service has to be running for us to access it. Now, if it was in IIS or in Azure, it would always be running. Right? It would just always be running. Now, what we need from this, and just leave this up, we're not going to test these, is we need the IP address. And there's an IP address there, and I can do this, and I can just say copy address. So this is in the test client, and there's a, right under my service project, there is the address for it. It's a temporary address. One of the problems you may find is that when you, if you take this home and run it, that address might be different. So you might have to adjust the address or relink. Whereas if you had it in a stable IIS or Azure thing, it would, this address would be stable also. So I can minimize this now. And back to our web page, what I'm going to do.
So you don't want to stop this, right?
No, don't stop it. Leave it running. What I'm going to do is on the project, I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to add. And what we want to add is a service reference. Right, we're going to add a service reference. We're going to tie us to that service. So I'm going to click on service reference. It gives me a dialog box here. And I can, in the address, I'm just going to paste that address that I just got. And then I'll hit go. Now, if you were doing a commercial service, they would give you the address. You just paste, you know, you can make the connection. Now, notice it sees this, and one way that you know that it's good is when I click on, I open this up, and I click on this, and see, I can see all the methods. And you do not have to do this, but if you go to advanced, well, that's not really what I need. I wanted to show you some of the XML it generates, but it's not really super important because you can ignore it. We should give it a name other than service reference 1. Let's call it CA service. Do we want to just call it CA service? I don't know. CA service reference. We will refer to it in code, so it's useful if you can do that. I'm going to do OK. And it will generate some stuff here. Some of what it generates, as I said, is XML. See all this XML it generated. I'm worried about that. Why does the schema contain errors? All right, with luck, we're okay. Anyway, let's go back to the default. But there's a whole bunch of XML that it generated for you. So let's test this to see if our connection is good. I'm going to double click the login button because we're going to try to do some code there. I'm going to say CA service reference. I'm just going to call it CA yeah, equals new CA service reference. Is that right? No, I think I need to do CA service reference dot CA, not client. Yeah, CA service client. Okay. Does that make sense? We're making a reference to the service so that we can access the service. Oh, and I need a semicolon.
CA service client and CA service reference. Is that what?
Yeah, so CA service reference is sort of the namespace.
Right, but then this CA service client.
Yes. Should be. Now, I have had issues at this where sometimes you have to, kind of like with entities, if you don't find this, rather than trying to troubleshoot it, it's probably better to delete the service and try to reconnect.
It's all audited.
Right. And so, and I broke that just so it's on page, you don't have to. I am going to, so for the login, I am going to, we should get an int key equals CAS dot, we should be able to see the method person login. And it wants, again, the user. So I'm going to give it the username textbox.text. Again, probably should validate these. Password textbox.text. So I'm giving it those two things. And we should be able to see if key not equals 0. For right now, we're going to change this in a minute, but for right now, let's just do result label dot text equals key to string, just to see if the string key is there. Else result label text equals login failed. All right. Mine is CAS here. What did you name yours? Yeah. So task person login should be there. And key equal. After the equal sign was missing. Anyone else? Does this make sense? We make a reference to the service. From the service, we can see the login method that we made in the service. It takes 2 arguments, which is the username and the password. It returns an integer, which will be the key. Remember, because we did all of that in the service. If the key isn't equal to 0, which means that it's a legitimate key, then we're just, right now, we're just going to do this. Later, we will forward them or do something. Otherwise, we're going to just say that the login failed. So let's look at a real quickly, actually from over to the other one. You don't have to do this. I just need to find, I don't know if I can find that. Well, web query, SQL query. Let's do it from person. I just need somebody to use for a login. So we've done Jay Anderson before. Let's try bcarmel@gmail.com. I think we've done Mary Lewis before too, but let's try Bob Carmel. bcarmel@gmail.com. So I go back to the other one. I'm going to run this. Theoretically. Theoretically, come on. There we go. So it was bcarmel@gmail.com, and it should be Carmel Pass.
Capital C on.
Yeah, capital C on Carmel and Pass. I actually generated these, and I think it's just Pass, not a P.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Not capital A. Yeah, it should look like that. So I got 4, which is correct. Right, that's their user key. And if I did a different pass, then it should do. I'll just do pass. And it should say login failed. So it's working. So all the code is done in the service. We just have to call the code from the service. Okay, let's go back. Questions on that? Where are we on time? It's last name capitalized and pass. And pass is capitalized. And it's not an @ sign, it's just an A. And I did that, basically I just went through and did a loop where I just took their, like, concatenated that with pass, right? Their last name with pass. Before I generated the.
It's showing my password. Next box.
Well, that's fine. If you want to, so let's go back to the ASPX, do the source. If you, to make it not show, you can do text mode equals password. Did you do that?
No.
Yeah. Sometimes when testing, this is a bit of a pain, you know, but ultimately you want to do that. Okay, so any other questions on the login? So I've got the login. A couple of things we need to do with the login. So let me do, I want to go to the source code. What we wanted to put there, write the variable. So we'll do session. I'm just going to say user key. And I've been doing too much SQL. Equals key. And then connect them to another page. That page where they apply for a grant. Probably in real life you wouldn't just redirect them there, though. You would have them, you would redirect them to a page where you give them options, so whether they want to donate or apply for a grant, you know, things like that. Do we want to just redirect them to there or to the grant page? Response, redirect. And what we want to do is we'll say, what do we want to name our page? We haven't created it yet. Grant page.
That's for me.
All right. So what we need to do is actually create that page. So in the Solution Explorer, I'll right click, I'll add a web form, and I'll call it grant page. And I'll do OK. And I'm just going to do like apply for a grant. All right, so forms, the things that we need here Whoa, I did not want to do that. To apply for a grant, one of the things we probably want is to see the list of the grants they can apply for, right? So they can select one maybe from a, hey, does that make sense? Yeah, so let's do a drop-down list. So I'm going to go into the toolbox. I'll get a drop-down list. And I'll call it grants drop-down list. Okay, so why don't we, before we do the rest, we'll populate the drop-down list. So I'm just going to right-click and do view code. So, and we'll do this in the page load. Although at the top of the page here, I am going to do, what did I call it? CA service reference. One of the things you can do if you don't want to write CA service reference dot service client is you could say using CA service reference. And then down here, you're fine just to go, good to go with just CA service client. It's up to you. It's not a big deal. I'm going to call it CAS again, although you can call it whatever you want. CA service client. And it needs to be new. Okay, and I'm doing that at class level so that I can use it in a variety of places because we're going to need a couple. I'm going to create a new method. And you guys can stop me whenever it gets too weird. Void, I'm going to just say fill drop-down list. Or fill grant list or something. One of my weakest points, as you probably noticed, is figuring out what to name things. All right, so we need a list and grant type. It's interesting that C's grant type. And we'll just call it grants equals CAS dot we need to, is it get grant types. Why does it not like that? What does it return? Can I convert? Oh, you know what? It returns an array. I remember this. It wants an array, even though it returns a list.
Yeah, stored it in array.
What?
That is stored it in array, that's why.
Maybe. I don't know. For some reason, when it's a list in the service, but when it passes it back, it wants an array. It took me a long time to figure that out, and I always forget until it gives me the error. And I don't know exactly why. I'm sure there's a logical reason for it, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter because we don't even have to give it a size because it's just going to fill it from that. And then all we have to do is say grants drop-down list dot data source equals grants. Grants. So the couple of things we do have to say, grants drop-down list dot data text field equals grant name. is it grant type name? I think it is. It has to match the field. And then grants drop-down list dot data value field equals grant type key. And then grants drop-down list dot data bind. So we're calling we're just getting an array from the method that we have in our service, and then we're binding it, but we're making sure that we display the name and store the value. We have to call that from up here. So I'm just going to say fill grants list. There's one other thing we'll do, but we'll look at it first. So I'm going to run that. And you'll see that it has all the grant types populated. It's still not perfect because when I select things, actually it seems to be holding them, but it probably won't when I do a button because it'll forget what I selected. And there's an easy cure for that. You guys remember what it is? Do I? Yeah, if not, is post back. Exclamation or is post. So the exclamation point is not. So if it's not a post back, it'll fill it, and that way it'll remember. And if it doesn't need curly braces because it's the only argument there, but I put them in there. Okay, there's one other thing that I would do here on the page load. Although I think I will do it after at the very end, and that's one is make sure that the session variable exists. I'm going to hold on that because I don't want to log in when I'm testing. But in the end, we'll want to do that. Does this make sense, sort of? You can see, in a way, I mean, because we have to deal with two fields there, we have a couple of lines of code, but that's pretty easy on the client side. You just have to bind things and say what you're displaying. The service is doing all the work. It's what's getting all the grants and stuff. Let's do add some more stuff here. So we have the drop-down list. We also need the text boxes and stuff to add the information. So they need to choose what kind of grant they're applying for, right? What else do they need to what? Well, we need a button, but we also need the amount that they're going to use, right? An explanation, the amount. That's about all we need, right? Choose what kind of grant, the amount, and that. So we only need a couple of text boxes. I am going to. You could put these into a table. I'm just going to put it into a paragraph. Why grant? What? The date we can just get now, yeah. And I'm just going to put in a, I'm still running, aren't I? Text box. And I'm going to, and I'll just call it, explain text box, whatever. So if I break the line so it's all on the page. I put it all in a paragraph tag. it would actually make sense. You could do a table here too if you wanted, or something, you know, some CSS or something. I'm just going to do another P. And say enter the amount, and I'll do a text box for that, and call it amount text box.
Are you gonna typo on amount?
I do. Among what? And then a button, right? Don't know if the button needs a P, but we'll do it. So I'm going to do a button. And I'll do grant button, and I'll call it just submit as the text. And I might, in the same paragraph tag, add a label, which we could call result label again. And I'll get rid of the text there. So I didn't do a table this time because it's more work. You'd want this to be pretty. You know, if you were really doing this, you would work out the whole layout of all these pages. You would, you know, probably have some images and background stuff and more explanation and a lot of other neat stuff. You should also validate these boxes. I don't think I'm going to do that now for time, but remember how we did with downloading the Java jQuery and putting the validation controls on there? You could do that. Or you could validate them just with regular JavaScript, however you want to do it. But so far what we have is on design here. Again, it's a very minimal page. And what I will do is double click the submit button and we'll do the code for that. Okay. So remember, one of the things that in that method is we were going to pass a grant request class, right? And that class would have the equivalent of one row. So in order to get that grant request, we can do a service client dot so it's actually done. So it's CAS dot grant request, looking for the class.
Didn't it apply for grant?
Well, the method is, but we should be able to see the grant request class. Maybe I can just do grant request. It as again, new grant request. I was thinking I had to do it in the context of the CAA, but it's there. It sees it. Notice we didn't declare any grant request class, right? That's in the service, but it sees it through the service. That's why I was thinking we needed to do CAS dot, but it's just showing the class. So gr dot, we could do the date equals date time now. I can't type. That'll return the current date and time. Gr dot grant request explanation equals, and again you should validate this, but let's do what was explain text. Text box dot text.
What was the reason datetime now doesn't need parentheses?
For whatever reason, datetime now is considered a property, not a method. So what it does is it returns, it just says the current date and time. But yeah, it's not treated as a method. It's just a property of date. Date has a current time, I guess. We want the amount. And what we'll do there is we have to do, I think it's decimal dot parse, and then was it amount text box dot text? Again, you should, everything that comes in as a text box string, so you need to convert it to a number amount. And then we need, so we got the request grant type key. And the way we can do this is basically it equals the, I don't know if this will work, but drop-down list, grants drop-down list dot selected value. Now, does that work? No. So I think what I have to do is int dot parse to string. I don't know why you have to convert it to a string in order to convert it to an int, but I've had to do that before. So what we're doing is whatever the selected value, the value part of whatever is selected, which is the key, right? We made it the value. So this is our grant request. We got all the values that we need, I think. Is there anything else that I left out that we really need?
Selected value.
Selected value to string from the grants drop-down list. I'm just looking to see right now to see if there's anything else that nothing else actually belongs to the class. Oh, person key. We do want the person key. And one of the things to get that, I would probably do session, so int key equals int session, cannot type, user key. That's what I named the session, right? Okay. And then person key would equal key. Okay, so we've made our class, we've populated it with values. Now we do this CAS dot apply for grant, and we need to pass it the grant request. And it returns a bool too. Guess I don't know if I want to call it result. Bool. Guess we could call it result. And then you could, if you want, you could say if let's just do if result. Label result, or result label rather, dot text equals grant. What do we want to say? Saved, recorded, accepted. Except that might imply that it's
Oh, I see, yeah, no.
Submitted.
submitted. Sounds good. Now, I might want to change this a little bit. I think we have it where it throws error, and we might want to catch the error here, but I think actually this would be cleaner. So I might actually remove the throw error. I did that so I could see what the problem was. But that was in register, that wasn't on this one, right? Okay, so this probably won't work unless I log in now. So I guess since we have to log in anyway to test this, I'm going to up here if and then I'll just do if session user key equal null, response redirect default ASPX. And I'll show you this. So what this will do is if the session doesn't exist, if there's nothing in it, it'll throw you back to the log. So you can't open this page without logging in. That makes sense? That's what this does. It's check to see if that session with that name is null. If it's null, then it throws you back to the login. If it's not, then it'll go down here and it'll populate the list. And then you can do it. Yeah.
Without being done with session keys, like just working on the files, work on what's already behind the session key login check that it would launch.
Yeah, well, so the session key lasts for a while. I'm not sure how long.
Maybe I think that's the issue.
Yeah. You know, it would actually, so I have found that if you log in and it crashes and you run it again, sometimes you can go directly to the page. The session key is still there. I'm not sure what the timeout is on it.
You thought just when it says the cache is lost.
Yeah, and I actually think that there are, if you want, and I don't know if we want to go there at this point, you can set timeouts and things on the session keys.
Yeah, I figured. I don't focus on that. So I was curious about this.
This means that all of this is checking for is that the session key is existing, that the user key session is existing. So if I run it from this page, it should throw me directly to the login page. So, and see it pop back to the login. And hopefully, so we were doing, who was it we were doing? It was Bob Carmel. It's not giving it to me. So it was B Carmel.
It would be B Carmel. I think some of us are using databases from SQL class and Bob Carmel.
Oh. Yeah, I think so. And then it was Carmel Pass.
The email is at you.
I did the @ sign again, yeah. What?
At Gmail.
Oh, at Gmail, thank you. Okay, so I can apply for a grant. So what do I want to apply for? Let's say education. Can't afford books. And the amount that we want is 200. Submit. It says the grant was submitted. So one of the questions is, was it submitted? I don't ever trust this, although usually it's correct. So let's go, I'm going to go to the service side just because I have this up here. And I'm going to select star from grant request. And at the very bottom, there should be one for 4. Can't afford books, $200. So I did it. So again, that's, let's go back to the, you know, it was pretty easy here. We did have to like create a class and populate it and then pass it. But it's still not a lot of code on the client side. You know, most of the work is done on the other side. There's a couple of other things to do. Are you guys doing okay still? Or do you need a? Yeah.
So you lost the connection in the database.
So you might need to like right click on, did the login work when you did it?
And I checked this earlier, like half hour ago, just to be connected. The login didn't work, it didn't
So right click on the start button. Go to computer management. Go to services and applications.
No, this is I did another one,
Go to SQL Server.
but I didn't read that.
SQL Server services.
So it's still running off the. I thought it was.
That shouldn't matter in terms of this.
Yeah.
You know what, it's probably the other one.
Oh,
But if you want it. Yeah, and that should stay on. So let's look at the other one. So let's see if there's you've got to do when you do the login. Yeah. Yeah, you're looking back to the how it should be, because what was happening, it wasn't processing it. All right. I'm tired if you're not. Yeah. For caramel, should be caramel pass. Capital CARMELPASS. I keep writing app because I'm so used to doing that, but that doesn't work.
could I see the draft page, not CS?
Not CS, just this, and then the source. Make sure your button has an on click. If you just write the code, that won't work, right? You have to have that in both places. And I think what we'll do next is the register, which is actually identical to what you did before, except we're doing it from the client. Just values to the. Well, actually, we'll pass a person like, right? And then it will pass it to the store procedure. Yeah.
Question, the pool that decide whether it's submitted or rejected.
Yeah.
That's the apply for grant. Is that part of the auto-generated methods?
Well, so yeah, so the Boolean that we're passing back, if we go to the services and we look at the actual service and we look at the apply for grant, notice it has a bool and it returns the bool. And I think I would actually, I think I'd actually comment out throw X, but
Mine gets rejected.
oh,
I'll figure it out.
okay.
If it's in that, then that's kind of.
So I gotta go back to the right one. So more important than any of the details, because there are a ton of details here, right, is just the concept that we have a service running that is doing the work, and we're creating a client that talks to this that. Just that is actually all. If you bring nothing else away, just the idea that you can create services that run on a server somewhere and tie them to a web page by linking to the services. That's the important concept. All the detail, I don't expect you to remember all the detail. The only way you will remember all the details if you do this about 300 times. and when you actually have to do it, you can look up some references and things. The coding isn't that hard once you get the concepts down. The coding in the service, I mean, we did that. There's nothing magical about that code, right? It just is talking to the data classes, pulling things out. And there's nothing really magical on this side. We're just calling those methods that it's kind of like you're in a form and you're calling methods from a class. So there's a lot of this kind of programming going on. So not all of it in .NET. A lot of it is actually in PHP or Python or things like that. But it's still the same concept. And so what I say, the concept is important, not necessarily the details. All right, let's add, so I'm in, should we do the register one? All right, so I'm going to add another web page. Am I in the right place? Yeah. So I'm going to add a web form. Let's call it register. Fun and math. And I'm going to just do it. I've been doing H1s so I can tell what the pages are when I go there. I did H1, I thought 2 would be all right, but all right, so we just need all those person register things, right? I have a shortcut here. I don't know if you want to do this. If I go back to my repositories and we do assignment 4. Well, actually, there is a problem with this, isn't there? If we do the register ASPX. And that I probably don't want to necessarily add the validators.
See you next.
Yeah, it is next week, yeah.
All right, have a good weekend.
All right, never mind. I think it'd be harder to fix it than that. So yeah, let's never mind that. We'll just do it. How much time do we have left? That should be enough. So are you guys up for it, or do you want to call it and continue next time?
This is it, right? Like that would be it for the last one.
Well, actually, so there's register. There's 2 parts left. All right, so there's the registration, which we've done before. It's really identical to the registration. And in fact, maybe what we should do is just skip the registration. Because we've done it before.
You're accessing the stored procedure.
The only access, yeah, so what you do is you just call, the difference is that you're going to create a class called person light, which you can get access to because of the method. And you're going to populate all that. You pass it to the method, and then it writes it out to the stored procedure. If you want to do that, we can. It's up to you guys. It's very similar to what you did before, but a little bit different. Do? Not do. Do it? Okay. So what we need here is basically we need all of the fields. And the fields that we need are all the fields for person light. So I'm going to look here. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at the, we need last name, first name, email, password, apartment, street, city, state, all of those. Okay.
We're getting some information from the back end.
Yeah. So we're going to do a form here, which will have all these fields. That's why I was saying I could almost just steal this from the other one and remove. I'm hesitant to do this because I think I will lose most of you. Why did I lose the, did I close? I did. Never mind. Let's just do it. It's a bit of a pain. Rather than do a table, I'll just do paragraphs. Table would be better. I'm going to do last name and a text box. This will be an uglier form. And I'll just call it last name text box. So if you get the pattern, you can go ahead of me, right? And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing. As I said, a table would be much neater. I'm going to just paste that and change it to first name. And probably it would make sense to do, again, prettiness is not the point. But yeah. All right. And change this to first name text box. And then we needed email. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Email. And I'm going to do apartment.
We're doing a password field.
Yeah, we will do a password field. And all of these should be validated, but I'm, again, skipping that. Apartment, street. City. State. Zip code. Work home phone. work phone. And then password, and you should validate the password with the compare, but I'm just going to just do password. And you could do, if you wanted, you could do the text mode password. Oops. All right. And then the last thing, I was just trying to make that fit. The last thing will be submitting. So we'll add a button. And I'll just say submit button. Submit. And probably a so the label will be for result. All right, this is next time. We probably only have a little bit to do, but we can move next time, finish this up into the next. So this is going to be a real ugly form. I'm going to show you the design and then I'll come right back. See, that's really ugly. You can CSS it to make it look nicer, or you could have put it in a table, but I was trying to make it really fast. Do you need a minute? This, as I said, I'll post both of them. So it's just all those fields. It's just I just press P. You could put them all in a P tag with breaks in between if you wanted to. Are we ready to do the button? Yes? No? Okay. So let's just do design. I'll double click the button. And what I'm going to do here, so again, we need, so I'll do the using CA reference service. And then down here, I'll do CA service client, should be down here. Why is it not showing it to me? Using CA service reference. Using directory his unnamed. So if it's not going to do that, let's just do it here. CA service reference dot CA service client equals new. And then I will do, I think we might have to go CAS dot, will it see the class person light? Nope. So let's see if I just type person light if it's there. No. Oh, I know what it is. CA service reference dot person light PL equals new CA service reference person light. All right, so we're creating a version of person light. And then basically we just need to go through and do PL dot, not that it matters, but we'll do it in the same order to some extent, equals, and again, putting these directly through is probably not great names. So it's last name text box dot text, PL dot first name equals first name dot text box dot text, PL dot email equals email text box dot text, PL dot apartment equals apartment text box dot text. See the pattern? Very boring. PL dot street equals street text box dot text. PL dot city equals city dot text box dot text. PL dot state equals state text box dot text. PL dot home phone equals home text box dot text. PL dot work. Oh, I forgot zip code. Equals work phone work text box dot text. It doesn't matter the order, but I'll put PL dot zip code equals zip text box dot text, and then the password. That's all of them actually, isn't it? Or equals password. Okay, one last thing is, and I think we can do bool. Result equals CAS dot register. What did we call it?
Register person.
Yes. And then it takes an argument of a person light, so we just pass it PL. And then we can say if result result label equals or dot text equals you were added or you were registered, whatever. Else result label text equals Control V. Whoa, undo. Undo. Okay. This should work. So what we did is we created our little local instance of person light. We assigned all of those values from the text boxes to it. It will be passed to the service, which then passes the values to the stored procedure. Let's see if it works, and then I think we'll call it good for today. There'll be a little tiny bit of this left on Monday, unless you want to try it on your own. And then we'll start on the talking about the next thing. So this one you shouldn't have to be logged in for, because the reason you're here is because you can't log in. There should be a link on the login page to this page. I need a name other than Bugs Bunny or Carter.
Clark Kent?
Did we do that?
I have no idea. I did it for my I did it in database class, but not this one.
But in database class,
I think there is a Clark Kent there now that I'm thinking about it.
yeah, I'm wondering if there is a Clark Kent.
Selena Gomez.
All right. So Gomez. My kids used to watch the Wizards of. So it would be like it's just a Selena@gmail.com. I'm gonna leave the apartment empty. Was it Waverly? I don't remember.
It was Waverly Place.
I have no idea what city it was. Hollywood is good, yeah. It wouldn't be 98. I have no idea what California zip codes are. But whatever. Is it 95? Again, it doesn't really matter. Home phone, we'll do a home phone. You have no idea what their area codes are either. But I'm going to do a 206-555-2098. Work phone I'll leave empty. Password will be Gomez Pass.
I was thinking Beaver sucks.
Yeah. But I want to follow the pattern. So it says you were registered. Let's see if that's the case. So I go back here, I go back to the query, and I do it from person. And I will do that. And at the very bottom, we have Selena Gomez, and we have her hash password, and everything looks good. Let's do from person address. Her number is 132. So there should be a 132 Waverly Place, Hollywood. Looks good. Interesting, they didn't do a null here. It did an empty string. Not sure I like that. And then contact, there should be a phone. Yeah.
How'd you get to that SQL screen?
So this is in the service, and what I did to get to the SQL screen, let me run that real quick and then on the, where you have the server thing,
Server Explorer?
yeah, her phone number didn't.
Do you have to kill the process first?
No. I just right-clicked on it and said new query or SQL query. What does it say? Maybe you do have to kill the process to see it. You might have to kill the process to be able to see that screen. Once you've got the query screen there, it's still there. It stays there. But I think to get the screen, you have to kill the process. Anyway, it seems to have worked. I'm not entirely sure what happened, why there's two here. Rather than enter a, that's because it's treating it as an empty string, not a null. And I could fix that, but I'm not going to. The way you would fix it is you'd have to here, where we're putting the phones in there. In fact, for a lot of these, what you would want to do is rather than enter the text, if the text is empty, then
Oh, is it because the phone number? No, we would have done a bar chart for that one. Right?
so what's happening is it's entering these as empty strings, not as null. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to do an if the string is empty, then make it a null.
Did you get to see your record show up in the person page? table.
Yeah, mine did show up. Yours didn't?
No, but I mean, we didn't set up the message, so I don't know that.
Mine did, so mine did show
Oh,
up.
you know what? I have all those.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't put that part.
If you didn't put that part in there, then it would just happen and it wouldn't show you. I mean, it would show you in the database, but it wouldn't
It was
show.
open. Yeah, I just didn't have anything that says it was open.
Right. Without this, it just does it and then it's done. So I will save all of this and put it, post it. I will comment it, though maybe this weekend before I comment it. And it is videotaped except for the very beginning. So, yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Steve,
Yeah,
can I get your help real quick?
sure. Sure.
but I can't figure out how to make it work. So I wrote something to be.
So the thing that you have to do is you have to delete all the validators, or you have to add the validators.
Okay.
So all these validators, what they do is they're gonna give you an error because you don't have the credit.
So this all these
Yeah, anything that, or we can just add the validators.
to this.
Yeah. So the way you add the dictionary
See ya.
is that you click over there. And then you do add, actually go to add your management. And then what we want to do there is browse. And inside of that, right,
There's a huge tech conference coming up, and it's like even just a day pass for the event is $600.
What is it?
It's an event called an event apart, and it's basically 3 days of design, code, and content. And yeah, it was just I clicked on pricing and saw the pricing, and like, you guys are full of it.
It's kind of like a class, huh?
And I'm like,
Here it is, right there.
See ya.
yeah.
And then it should work. Those things should work. I don't know if this stops.
Well, you know what really slowed me down was when they copied it. I had to go and do it on the line numbers.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things when you do it, you need to go to raw. If you're copying it. So raw will not give you any benefit. If it runs. No, server don't have one, so we set it. Let's look at what we're going to do. So,
Isn't that up here or wherever that was, or view, whatever?
yeah, so this is all right. So this is right here. That's where I would.
So I commented them out. So I don't need form 2, right?
No, we need one form.
So which is right here.
Oh, yes.
And then, do I want my open div here or here?
I don't think it matters as long as you have one open there and one closed.
They were commented out, so that shouldn't have.
Yeah, that shouldn't.
Am I calling this table or this form somewhere else?
No, that should be fine. One good table. So let me close these down and post them real quickly. Okay, so.
Yeah. Yeah, we can just stay here. Okay, so. Okay, I am caught up. Yay.
Very good.
This room, by the way, is horrible, but I'm caught up.
See, Mark, I can't, but I'm trying.
Yeah, I don't have any classes for one.
I have no more classes for the rest of the day.
Okay.
So. This. It's not.
Oh, I know why.
The other thing you said was the next folder.
Yeah, again. So I don't have to take that. I can see.
I'll be taking WebEx 3.
Yeah.
I'll be taking the advanced JavaScript. And I talked to Mike and I might be TA if you wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, we're both in that.
Yeah, so sweet. I'm gonna aim for the daytime content management because I think what is WebEx 3?
WebEx 3 is
And this
All right.
Thursday, 3:30.
Okay.
Again?
And then CNF is 1 to 2:50.
Is there only one CMS or there's two CMSs?
I don't know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
So she's talking about putting this in that raw class as an online class. So if that's the case, I could take that as an online class, and then I could take this and a place of that, and then.
Are you also taking user research methods? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually more classes to go, and then, so in the summer, I'm taking one through that. That's what we went to under.
And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get.
Yeah, I should,
I think that
yeah,
having a portfolio,
yeah. That's why I'm taking more 200, because like my design skills are highly lacking. So I'm like, let's switch to design skills and instead of doing more portfolio material.
yeah, and I can even say that on my resume. Short of that.
And if I'm the TA, and if I'm the TA for funded management systems course, it can still do it with the third website.
Oh, that's great. That's always my goal.
Mike's letting me do a first set for 200.
Yeah,
2 and then maybe 3. I can say I go with it.
I'm getting an error
And
on
my legs are
the
getting
result
okay,
They
for
can-
the register
I'm
person.
getting out of this room. 'cause it's
Okay.
Mm. Yeah.
when it runs, you get an error?
Well, it won't finish running, but it does say error.
All right, let's see what the,
I'm all caught up, Steve.
okay, so.
See you next week.
See
See you
Yeah,
guys
see
next
you.
week. Bye.
It doesn't matter because she can't decide if that class is gonna be online. Now Web 130 is gonna wait list. Just like I told her. But it brought me back to right here at the board.
Let me finish up later, but it's a
Okay.
matter of I can see it.
So I got lost today, but can I, on Monday, can I just take it from your GitHub?
You
and then
can, you
pick up
can.
Where we left off or whatever?
Yes, I'm uploading it now.
Okay, great. I'll just do that.
I just need to do create new file.
I'll just text you when you don't have this. Because I'm gonna come back to this.
Okay. Oops, see ya, see ya.
Is it got there?
No. It's still working.
That's weird. It should have timed out in like 30 seconds.
Man, I don't understand why it's not doing it. So we finished assignment 5 today and then went on to.
And
6.
we're pretty close to finishing 6.
Okay.
And then we'll do the next thing. So it's
I
still,
don't know, but this is what I did the first time too. It took a minute.
yeah. Other things were working.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it was letting me load everything.
And you could, let's look at your service. Let me just, don't have to stop this.
Everything else was working well.
Well, it hasn't.
Oh, so it was kind of the whole time?
Yeah. The narrative for electrocution.
Did I call them by different names?
Oh, the name should, yeah,
Oh. So that was the first one I did. Yeah. I think I left work. No, that's not good. It has to be the way I called it, right?
No? So, did it work when you ran it in the service? Let's look at the service. Although all those values look good. So this is registered. This is the last name, first line.
Is it maybe these, like maybe I called it zip one place and zip code in another?
No, that doesn't matter. The thing is, when you look at that, try to, usually what happens is there's something wrong. Was that email in there?
Yeah.
If it successfully went before, the emails have to be.
You know what happened that I thought it was odd was when I went to.
So. That's the service, you do want to know.
I do what I'm on here.
Yeah, you did, I mean, the other formal.
When I added in just any old email address, it told me there was an error. And then I said, well, that's not
Try it now.
register.
Well, let's run it from the formal. So go to the other, back to do that.
Oh, this other one has to be done.
Yeah, yeah. I knew it.
Oh, it is. In here, right?
Yeah.
So just choose a new person.
Just choose a new person, or at least a new. Yeah, I think it's what.
It was the email.
It was the email was, but we should, if we were to make this more refined, we would return the error message. So it would be more clear what's going on.
Oh,
Although the error message in the actual thing wasn't very clear. That's from the database, because in the database, emails have to be unique.
Yeah.
So your code is fine.
okay, cool.
All right, so what was I doing? I think I'm done here.
So are we gonna be adding to that? on-
There's a tiny bit more.
Okay, so don't submit it yet.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't submit it yet. Unless you want to submit it for safety and then you can update it later, but it should be okay there. The video's been running this whole time.